Hello everyone. We are going to start with another lecture, and this is basically a debriefing video of second question of December 2024 pre-mock APM exam. I am Zaira Anis and I'm going to explain the concept of variances in this part because this in the last I think 2 to 3 attempts back there was a question which the examiner has asked regarding the variance analysis. There was a little bit hint how the company may need to perform the basic variance analysis, planning and operation of the part. But in this question, in this pre-mock question, examiner has insisted more towards variance analysis. So we will try to understand how to attempt such questions, how to deal with such questions, even if we don't know what are the planning and operational variances, but still we know what are the controllable and what are the uncontrollable parts. And to be very honest, there is a basic understanding that whatever, if I'm responsible for anything, I should have a control over it, right? So that's basically the logic behind it. So let's quickly start with this question. Let's see what we can do here. Um, so the first part is company's information, right? Medi Manufacturing is a company which manufacture clothes on contract for well-known fashion brands. The brands do all the design and marketing work, right? Medi operates on contracts which last between 3 and 5 years. Competition is fierce for such business, and the company has prospered by being a cost leader while still able to meet the required quality standards imposed by the contracts. So this is an important statement because it means that you have to produce your product at a lower price. Along with that, you have to make sure that you are maintaining the quality standards. The company aims to optimize return to its shareholder, and the board has been under pressure to increase these returns recently in order to meet its shareholder imposed targets. Now, first of all, here's an important point. The important point here is that you are dealing with the quality standards, like you have to make sure that you are maintaining a proper quality standards. But at the same time, you are pressurized by the shareholder to earn a specific return, a good return, increase the return. So there are high chances that managers may try to manipulate the results just to make sure that they are generating good returns. Maybe they are performing well, but there is a doubt in this case that there can be something wrong. Something can be wrong here. Each production contract is treated separately with a production manager assigned to handle aspects of production, while purchasing contract negotiations and supporting activities are managed by the head office function. So, production manager is assigned to handle the aspects of production only. That's an important point. While the other things, purchasing, contract negotiations, and supporting activities, these are generally done by the head office function, right? So if purchasing of raw material is done by head office, then that is also something to notice, that whether they will be able to cater the urgent nature of buying, or maybe the quality of the product. But let's see what is given in the next part. The performance of the contract and the performance of a contract and the production manager responsible for it are assessed through budget and variances. So this is how they are being analyzed, assessed. The budget is prepared with input from the production manager using absorption costing and standard costs. The board of Medi believe that this bottom-up process captures the relevant information for its purposes, and it then has final decisions on the budget. So apparently, it seems that the manager is responsible. Manager is uh, considered while making the decision, and that's something which we call bottom-up approach of budgeting, right? Now, in the variance analysis report, what they are saying, the finance director has been busy preparing a bid for new contract, and so has asked you to do some routine work for him in preparation for an upcoming monthly board meeting. The work involves looking at the issues arising from the variance analysis that is usually presented with the operating statement to the board at such meetings. The production manager's performance is assessed based on its operating statement produced under absorption costing. So he is analyzed by the performance report. The production manager performance is based on its operating statement produced under absorption costs. Probably they are talking about the profitability. The FD needs you to consider three areas which are causing him concerns, and all seems to have arisen on a contract for the Farlery fashion brand. The FD has collected information in appendix number 1 and he believes outlines the problem. The FD has asked you to perform, now this is the requirement. FD has asked you to perform relevant variance calculations. Relevant variance calculation means whatever you feel is important, you are supposed to calculate that, right? And then evaluate the results in light of comments from the production manager who handles all aspects of production on the double F contract. So you are supposed to do two things. The first thing which you have to do is to perform some relevant variance calculation, right? We don't know what are the relevant variance calculation. For that, we have to move to probably an appendix, and then you have to analyze the variances, right? What they have in budgeting, in terms of budgets, the FD is concerned that the production manager comments on the budgeting process given in Appendix 1 and how they conflict with the view of the board, which sees the process as inclusive of the manager's view. Therefore, he wants you to evaluate whether the budgeting process is bottom up as the board believes. So, here I just want to quickly do a recap. There are three styles of budgeting. Bottom up is somewhere where employees are responsible for preparation of budget. Top down is where upper management decides what they have to do, manage what the employees have to do, and then there is a negotiation style where both are involved in the discussion and they come up with a win-win solution, right? So this is something which they want, and the requirement is quite simple. The first part is of 15 marks, the second part is of 5 marks. So I think variances are important typically because of the reason that this is something which examiner is probably not expecting students to do in a lot of details because this is purely a PM related thing, and but obviously examiner can ask something related to knowledge brought forward thing, but again let's see what we can do here, right? So let's move to appendix number 1. This is appendix number 1. Let's try to see what is given here. Um, okay, so they are saying that the information collected by the FD on the FF contract and its budget. Double F has estimated that it would need between 25,000 and 30,000 shirts, and Medi has estimated they would achieve a profit margin of 5.5 per t-shirt, right? So this is an important piece of information. Let's highlight this. Medi has estimated that they would achieve a profit margin of 5.5 per shirt. The budget for Medi was set at the upper limit of 30,000 shirts per. So they were expecting that the demand will be in between 25 to 30,000, but in budgets they have kept their target at a higher level. But in fact, only 25,500 units were manufactured and sold. So that is within the limit because limit was 25 to 30,000. But if you have kept the target of 30,000 and if you are comparing with that, definitely it is not up to the mark performance, right? But again, if you compare 25 to 30, it's reasonable. The actual profit margin was 5.5 per share, right? So this is an important point. Profitability reduced from 5.5 to $5 per share. The movement in profit margin has been driven by material price and labor efficiency changes. So there has been a change in material price and there has been a change in material labor efficiency. Material for these shirts were estimated in the budget to cost $30 per shirt, right? So this is basically the material cost, right? Based on assumed price inflation of 3% due to world price inflation, and this cost had risen to $31 when the material was purchased. So they believe that the prices were that the inflation would have been 3%. So that was assumed price inflation. So probably we can assume that this is the part of your this is the part of your $30 because they were assuming this will happen, right? But unfortunately, the actual price was around $31 when material was purchased. So that was more than what they were expecting. There were no problems with material wastage in the production. The budgeted time needed to complete a shirt was 1 hour. Right? This is the expected time. And actual labor hours required were 25,140 at a standard cost of 15 per hour. This is the actual part. Actual labor rates when matched the standard labor rates due to long-standing agreement with the labor unions at MIDI. So indirectly they are trying to communicate that there is no labor rate variance. So what's next? Production manager comments relating to the double F contract. Now, what they are saying, I find the whole process of budget setting to be difficult. Now, there is a different opinion, right? He is upset. And who is upset? Production manager. All the production managers are asked for input when setting the budget, but little notice seems to be taken of our advice. For example, it was obvious that material costs were going up generally in the economy, and we were already seeing rise of 6% at the time when the budget was set, right? So, and just a second. Okay. Was said, however, the budget decision makers decided on an optimistic view of material prices. They also took an optimistic view on predicted volumes for the contract, right? So what they are saying is that the budget which has been prepared took an optimistic view because production manager was with the fact that the prices will increase by around 6% when they were asked to give their input, but those who were deciding, that means production manager is not going to decide, is not going to have a final word is from someone else. He or she thinks that the prices will not be so high, so he made a decision to increase to keep the inflation at 3%, which has shown earlier, right? Nevertheless, this was offset, and that can also be seen here because instead of having 25,000 units, they were with the opinion that the company will be able to sell 30,000 shirts, not 25,000. So that is another point. Nevertheless, this was offset by our success in beating the predicted learning curve for manufacturing this new line of t-shirts. So this is something which they think that they have, they have improved the performance. The production managers at Medi are proud that year on year we have managed to achieve 1% outperformance of the budget in this regard. Now, this is a very important statement because every time probably you are able to achieve 1% better performance compared with the efficiency because they are talking with respect to the learning curve. So that's something which is quite, which should not be the part. I mean, if you can achieve something uh, on regular basis, then that should be the part of your budget. But again, that's something which is given here. So what we are supposed to do in this question is we have to start with the variance analysis, that is a 15 marks. And the question is saying that relevant variance calculation. So whatever calculations you believe is relevant to this question, you are supposed to calculate that, right? To a certain extent, it's a difficult part because examiner is not telling you exactly what to do. And to be honest, those who are coming from, those who are attempting APM, probably it's highly unlikely that they can still recall all those variances which they have studied in performance management paper or in F5 paper previously. So let's just start with this. Let's see what we can do here. If you want to have a quick recap of planning and operational variances, I will share its link in the my YouTube channel so that you can go and quickly have a quick recap of that. But I don't believe that this is a very important topic and this should be asked as a 15 marks requirement, right? So let's see what we can do here. Okay, so let's move to spreadsheet, right? And let's try to fix this format a little bit because we have to first of all manage how we are going to do this, and I think we can do it, right? Okay, so let's start with the calculation of original, revised, and actual, right? Because this is something which generally we do in planning and operational variances. So what is the original budget, right? Original standard is a better word. Original, revised, and an actual, right? So what is the original price, original raw material price, material price? Original price was around $30 per shirt. Now revision, how we are going to revise, and in actual price is around 31. So this is quite clear. What we have to decide is regarding with respect to the revision, because the standard already contains 3% inflation, right? That's the part of the standard, because uh, at the time of material of these shirts were estimated in the budget of to cost $30 per shirt based on the assumed price inflation of 3%, but due to worldwide price inflation, this cost has risen to $31. So overall, the prices were high, and that is something which they were already expecting when they were preparing the budget, but this was overheard by the upper management. So we need to bring this 3% increase, I mean 3% increase to, we need to make change this price, because this contain a 3% inflation. We have to incorporate further 3%. So original budget was original price was something we don't know, but this price, this $30 is 3% higher than the original price. So we can divide it with 103. That will give you cost of 1%, and then we can multiply it with 106. This will give you cost of 6%, right? So it's around 30.87. So this is the revised price and this is the actual price. What about the sales volume? Let's write sales, production, and sales. So original says that they prepared the budget at 30,000, right? And the actual was 25,500. And the actual profit margin, the expected, sorry, let's write it profit margin. Profit margin was originally 5.5. The actual profit margin is 5. It's better to write everything here so that we can connect our sheet. And then they are saying that, yeah, it's fine. Then they are saying about the labor hours. Labor hour was, it was expected that they were expected that labor will take 1 hour, right? Uh, Labor time, they were expecting 1 hour per unit, right? In in pra- in actual, I mean actual hours work were 25,140. These are the actual hours work by the labor, right? And the standard wage rate is, let me try to cut and paste here. Labor rate was 15, and in actual it was also 15 per hour, because they were saying that there was no change in labor wage rate, right? Now there is something which is here, and we need to adjust this 1% thing here, right? So what they are saying is, they look to, nevertheless, this was offset by our success in beating the predicted learning curve for manufacturing this new line shirts. The production manager at Medi are proud that year on year we have managed to achieve a 1% outperformance of the budget in this regard. Now, this is something which you need to consider when you are writing this statement, because this 1%, because right now they are saying that learning curve was higher. I mean, they learned faster than what they were expecting. So technically, it should be the part of budget, because when you are saying that the extra cost of poor planning should be included in the budget, then definitely the benefit of poor planning should also be the part of your budget. So technically, this 1 hour time should be not 1 hour, it should be 99%, because they were expecting 1% saving in this case. So this times 0.99. All right. So now let's start with planning variances, and then we will move to operational variances. right? Planning variance, material price variance, right? So material price variance is what? They were expecting a price to be $30, right? But what is the actual price? Actual price is 30,000 and 30.87, right? So this is the difference, and you have to multiply this difference with the production quantity, actual production quantity. So this is going to give you 22,000, and this is obviously an adverse variance, right? And then material price variance in terms of operational. So operational variance is the combination of revised minus actual, right? And then multiply this with 25,500. So this is also adverse, right? So if you see, or what you can do is you can combine this with, you can write it like this: planning material price variance, and so we can add them up. Operational material price variance, right? Okay. So this is something which is what we did. Oops, sorry. Okay. So we can get rid of this. Okay. So material price variance is 22,281. I hope we can. Okay, fine. Okay. So 22,000 and this favorable adverse, both are adverse. So total material variance will be what? This will be this plus this, and this will be adverse, right? So that's how you can do, right? So we can write here difference, and this is variance, right? All right. Now we'll move towards labor, right? Labor planning efficiency variance, right? Labor planning efficiency variance means that labor should have taken 1 hour, right? Labor should have taken 1 hour, but labor actually took 0.99 hours. And this is for one unit, and then labor produced 25,500 units, right? So 255 hours in totality labor saved. And how you can calculate the variance, you have to multiply this figure with the standard price, which is 15 standard wage rate, sorry. So this is 3825 favorable, right? Uh, okay. And then let's control C and control V here. This is labor, this is operational, it should be operational labor efficiency variance. Okay. So operational labor efficiency variance will be that labor should have taken 0.99 times 25,500 hours, but labor actually took 25,140 hours. So again, labor made a saving, and then we'll multiply this figure with 15, which is the standard rate. So again, it's going to be a favorable variance, and in totality, this will be this plus this, and this is going to be favorable. Oh, sorry. I just forgot that they are not accepting shortcuts. Total labor variance. Right. So labor is only responsible for, I mean, production manager is only responsible for operational variance. This is the responsibility of production manager, because instead of buying it at 30.87, he still bought the same material at 31. But overall, he is not responsible for 25,500 adverse variance, right? So this is basically the calculation part. Now, what else we need to do here, because the requirement is here. Relevant variance calculations we did. Oh, there's one more thing. There's one more variance which we forgot. The difference is also in sales now. So we can calculate sales volume variance, right? Sales volume variance is the difference between budgeted sales minus actual sales multiplied by this is the difference, and then we will multiply this with the standard profit margin, which is 5.5. So since actual sales volume is less, therefore this will be an adverse variance, right? This is sales volume variance is adverse, right? So what we have to do here is we have calculated all those relevant variances. I believe there will be two marks to there can be 2 marks per variance because there are one, two, three, four. There are one, two, three, four, 5 variances, and this requirement is of 15 marks. So I believe probably 8 to 10 marks can be gained through this way, right? Then evaluate the result in light of the comments from the production manager who handles the aspect of production of double F contract, right? Now, how can we deal with this part? See, what actually happened is that so let's talk about material price, right? Let's first of all let's talk about material price variances, right? So we can write it like I'm just writing the pointers. So what I just did is I just paused this video and wrote this material because it will take time to write this whole concept. What we need to make sure while writing this answer, while writing this evaluation term is that first of all, what I tried to do is I tried to mention that the total variance was around 20,000 in 100 adverse, and that is basically the sum of total labor variance, material variance, and total labor variance. And then I said that okay, fine, this is overall. It seems that the performance is not is bad, but we need to analyze total variance into planning and operational variance for fair assessment. Then I discussed a little bit of what is planning variance, that planning variance arise due to factors outside the production manager's control. In this case, global inflation and the learning curve associated with the new product are significant external influences. Consequently, the production manager is not accountable for adverse planning variance of 18,456. Now, from where I got this is the total planning variance planning material price variance, and this planning labor efficiency variance. So the total is, he is not responsible for this variance. Out of 20,000, he is not responsible for 18,000 variance, which includes 22,000 281 adverse variance and 3,825 favorable labor efficiency variance, right? Then operational variance, then same I did with operational variance, right? And then this part is also important, that along with that it's extremely important to understand that sales volume variance was around 24,750 adverse. And it's important to understand why the management kept it at 30,000, because there should be some justification, so there should be some logic behind choosing 30,000 as in as a budget, right? So if that is something which came from sales manager, then he is responsible for that. If that came from upper management, then obviously you cannot analyze his performance on that basis, right? So this is in totality. This is for I mean 2 to 3 marks for this one, 2 to 3 marks for this one, maybe 1 or 2 marks for the sales one, and then overall the calculation of all these variances. So that will totality make around uh, 15 marks, right? Now, what is the next part? Let's quickly close. Okay, fine. Let's move this down. What is the next requirement? Then let's close this spreadsheet. The next requirement is to respond to the request for budgeting, and that's just for 5 marks. So let's see what the requirement is for budgeting. He wants you to evaluate whether the budgeting process is bottom up as the board believes, right? So this is a very simple requirement. So let's move to this part. Okay, they are saying that I found whole process of budgets. Now, what was the original part here? The budget is prepared with input from the production manager using absorption costing and standard cost. The board of Mary believes that the bottom-up process captures the relevant information for its purposes, and then it has final decision, and then has the final decision on the budget. So the management believes that this is a bottom-up approach of budgeting. Now, there is another contradictory view from the production manager. Now, what is his opinion? I find the whole process of budget setting to be difficult. All the production managers are asked to for input when setting the budget, but little notice seems to be taken of our advice. For example, it was obvious that material costs were growing up in general in the economy, and we were already seeing a rise of 6% at the time when the budget was set. However, the budget decision makers decided on an optimistic view of material prices. They also took an optimistic view on predicted volume of the contract. Nevertheless, it was offset by our success in beating predicting learning curve for manufacturing this new line of shirt. The production managers at the Medi are proud of that. We have managed to achieve 1% outperformance of the budget in this regard, right? So now we need to understand whether this is a bottom-up approach or not. So apparently it seems that this is not a bottom-up approach because the management is not accepting what the production manager has just asked. I mean, what they were actually asking them to accept, right? So I'm just writing the pointers here. So what is the first pointer with respect to production manager, with respect to budget? Right, this is basically this is part B, right, and this is part A. Okay. Now the first pointer here is that we can show up to 3 to 4 points, 3 points, and then explain it. So the first point is that the upper management is not has not accepted the view of production manager. Therefore, it seems that this is actually pointing toward the fact that this is not a bottom up approach, right? This is the first point, right? What else? What other points do we have? Because this is the point which everyone will write. Okay. Do we have any other point here? Just pause this video and think. This is one incident that they are reporting. Um. Okay. Further information about other opinions will be needed as it there are chances that production manager is exaggerating the fact and the situation, and his other opinions were accepted by the management, right? What else we can write? I mean, this is something which we need to make sure that this is not the only thing that is creating a problem in this case, right? What else we can write? Initially, it was written that the cost variance, the management was what here they said that aims to optimize return to its shareholder, and the board has been under pressure to increase these returns recently in order to meet shareholders' imposed target, right? So this was another thing which would have been the reason why the budgets are so optimistic. So what else what we can write here is that uh, it seems that the upper management is under pressure to show to show good results or high returns. That's why they are showing higher profits in budget and making optimistic approaches as we can as it can be observed in case of sales volume variance where the upper limit has been considered instead of taking the average of the two. Right. So that can, there are chances that that is also an issue, right? What you can start with that, this is something which I always say, but we forgot to do here, is that you can start with the basic definition of bottom up approach, that what is bottom up approach, right? So bottom up approach is where the management take the opinion of their managers and decides what their manager is saying, decides as a budget, right? So if this would have been bottom up approach, the management would have taken the 6%, would have considered the 6% and would have also considered this 1% in their original budget. So apparently, what is the conclusion? Conclusion is that the budget system, so we can write from all of the above discussion, it is clear that the budget system is not bottom up, or that the what is the name of company? What is the name of company? Let me try to yeah, that Mary is not practicing the bottom up approach of budgeting. Right. So you can write, you can make a paragraph of this. I just wrote it quickly. So that's basically how you can attempt this second part of this question, right? So 5 marks question. There was 5 mark question. 1 mark for what is the bottom up approach. 1 to 2 mark. 1 mark per point. At how many points we have highlighted. So that's basically how we can attempt this question. All right. Thank you for watching this video. Take care. Bye bye.